Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Art for All group with St Christopher's Hospice. My name is Lucy, and I'm a creative artist working at St Christopher's. Normally, every Tuesday afternoon, we would have an art group in the Anniversary Centre, but since the start of the pandemic, we've been hosting them online. So today, what I'd like to talk to you about is actually a project that we're doing at the hospice. So normally every year we would invite primary schools from the local area, so around St Christopher's Hospice, to come and make artwork with people who either attend the hospice as inpatients or outpatients. This year we can't invite people into the hospice, so outpatients are staying at home for the most part, and inpatients are still coming onto the wards, but visitors are limited to 2 people per inpatient, so we aren't able to invite primary school classes into St Christopher's. So we found an alternative, and I'd like to tell you about that alternative. So what we're going to do is, over the next 3 weeks, we'll be going, staff members from St Christopher's will be going into a primary school in the local area. We will be developing an art project with them, and then the children will be asking questions of people in the hospice, and whether that's outpatients or volunteers or inpatients, and the people from the hospice will be replying to those questions, but each group will make a video and send that to the other group, so we'll be responding to each other by video. So what I'd like to share with you today is a presentation that I shared with the children yesterday. So if I go from the start. So what we discussed was, what is a hospice? Has anybody ever been to St Christopher's Hospice? And I think some people have been outside it but have been inside. We discussed what it is, a home providing care for the sick or terminally ill, and who works in hospice. So there are lots of different ideas about this, and I've listed just a few different occupations there. Showed them pictures of the hospice. Now obviously there's the big new building, Care, that's been built, and that'll be opening very soon, which is really exciting. This is the back of the art pavilion. We also have the gym, so we told them a bit about that. We also told them about spiritual care at the hospice. We told them about the Anniversary Centre. Everybody knew about the shops. Lots of the children recognised the St Christopher's shops. And we talked to them about different fundraising that happens and different ways that people get involved in supporting the hospice, so like the London to Paris cycle ride. So we showed them pictures of what art groups can look like and the art that's been made at St Christopher's. So our community artist Marcelo developed the top picture. That was a huge float that was done for the New Year's Day parade. There are people in different art groups making artwork together to combine to create larger pieces. And a piece of artwork that was done earlier this year. These are different people's spirit animals, and it's currently still on display in the Anniversary Centre, waiting for when people come back to see it again. And so, to introduce the theme of this year's schools project, I showed a number of images. So we've got different social media logos. We've got Spaghetti Junction near Birmingham, footprints on a beach, a bridge across a gorge, hands and a light bulb, pins and rubber bands, a baby looking at his father, refugees being helped off a boat, people's hands and communication methods, a funeral in the Aran Islands off the coast of Ireland, a wedding in India, the Pompidou Centre in Paris, the seesaw at the wall built between the United States and Mexico. Somebody installed these seesaws so that people could still play even though there was a wall in the way. The London Underground and all the different routes. And finally, some hands with their fingers woven together. So then I asked the children if they could guess what the theme was, and some of them guessed it immediately, and they guessed correctly, and they said connection. So this year's piece of work is all about connection, and I suppose in the spirit of connection, I'd like to invite anybody who's watching if they would like to take part in this year's schools project. And if you want to do so by emailing me, I'll put my details down below, joining the Zoom group, which will be on 1:30 every Monday until the 21st of December. And I'll tell you about the art project that we're going to do, and it's something that can be very easily done at home. So first of all, show you where the inspiration for this came from. So we've got some synonyms for connection: affinity, association, kinship, linkage, relation, relationship. All these different ways that connection can mean different things, but ultimately it's about a bond between people. It's about a transfer of information and emotion. It's about being together. So, and I thought that I suppose over the last however many months, we've had to find ways of connecting with people whilst having to stay really far apart. And I thought of all the footprints and the signs saying, stand here, keep apart. In a sense, don't connect. Don't stop and talk to someone. Try to stay away from people. And how do we manage that when we really want to connect with people? And then I thought of footprints and walking, and I thought of labyrinths that used to be a part of medieval churches in Europe, and how all of us have most of us have had a bit more time to think about where we're walking to, if we're walking anywhere, and if we've had time to meditate. Actually, all of the children in the class I visited yesterday, they'd all heard of meditation, they'd all had a go at meditation. Sadly, they'd all heard of anxiety as well, and I think had experienced it over the past few months. And finding ways of connecting, maybe back with ourselves as well as with others, is maybe what the labyrinth represents. So, what I'd like to invite you to do is, you can see these cut out footprints. So, I'm asking people to write a poem or a paragraph. It doesn't have to be a poem, it doesn't have to rhyme, it can just be your thoughts and feelings on what you feel about making connections with other people. So a short paragraph or poem. And then tracing around your feet to make footprints, or just drawing 2 footprints if you prefer. On one footprint, we're going to write the paragraph using any colours and decorating it however anyone would like. The background doesn't have to be white, even though it is on this image. And next week, we'll work on the other footprint. And I asked the children yesterday to start thinking about ways for next week that we could link the footprints together. So they're going to be doing this, we're going to be doing this in the hospice, and eventually we connect them together within the next couple of weeks. So that is the plan. And then I asked the children what questions they had for people at St Christopher's, and I won't play the video here, but they made a video and they asked, what activities do you like doing at the hospice? Do you like working at the hospice? What's your favourite thing to do at the hospice? Have you ever doubted yourself working at the hospice? How many people do you see at the hospice? Has there been anything positive to come out of lockdown and COVID for you? So some really interesting questions, and we've been making responses. So if you'd like to send in a response to my email address, I will give your responses to the children, and they'll respond in kind, and I'll let people know about that in the next video. Yes. And yes, as with the children, hopefully one day they can come in to St Christopher's, but until then we're looking forward to connecting with them online, and also with anybody who's watching this video as well. So if you would like to join the schools project group, it's on Mondays at 1:30, next week, the week after, and the week after that. And everybody would be most welcome. And if you would like to send in any footprints or any paragraphs that you've made, then I'll also put my email address below. So thank you very much for joining today. I hope this has been interesting, and I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you very much.